I often find myself staring at those busts, is something very much Joe Biden would say. Listen to that.
In front of the fireplace across from my desk, I have two busts, one of Dr. King, one of Bobby Kennedy. I often find myself looking at those busts, making decisions. Ask myself.
Sorry, that's just funny. Can you believe how disgusting and pandering and degrading this speech is? First of all, we're going to start again. I'm going to just pause periodically while everyone trickles in and let you know what I think. Look at his face. I called this the hashtag demented scowl because that's exactly what it is for anybody who's ever seen it before. It's a demented scowl. You started off college just as George Floyd was murdered. And you know, the amazing thing is, the harder they hammer that narrative, the more I'm inclined to question it. But I watched the trial and I actually sincerely deny it. The more you started college right at when he was murdered and there was a reckoning on race. Can you imagine how insulting all of this crap is? If you happen to be black and you got this old white dude who passed or drafted the crime bill that sent away a generation of black Americans, called them super predators. I don't care what your story is. You're not going to come and beat my mom over the head, is what he said, paraphrasing at the time.
We must take back the streets. It doesn't matter whether or not the person that is accosting your son or daughter or my son or daughter, my wife, your husband, my mother, your parents. It doesn't matter whether or not they were deprived as a youth. It doesn't matter or not whether or not they had no background that enabled them to become socialized into the fabric of society. It doesn't matter whether or not they're the victims of society. The end result is they're about to knock my mother on the head with a lead pipe, shoot my sister, beat up my wife, take on my sons. So I don't want to ask what made them do this. They must be taken off the street.
Demented scowl. Look at that ugly, mean face.
You started college just as George Floyd was murdered. And there was a reckoning on race.
A reckoning on race that I started.
It's natural to wonder.
Look at this. And they splice it. They splice in these images. I question whether or not these were contemporaneous.
For you. What is democracy?
Well, first of all, what is democracy? It's like he reminds me of the old lady in Billy Madison. Is anybody even listening to me?
Are there any horse socks? Is anybody listening to me?
And he's going with this delivery, what's the word? Cadence. Repeat it 3 times. What is democracy? Spew out racist garbage. What is democracy? More racist garbage. What is democracy? Pay attention. In 3s.
What is democracy?
Confused old man doesn't know.
Black men are being killed in the street.
Black men are being killed in the street.
What is democracy?
Twice refrain.
Betrayal of broken promises still leave black communities behind. What is democracy?
There you go. The third time.
You have to be 10 times better than anyone else to get a fair shot.
You have to be 10 times better than anyone else to get a fair shot, says the old white man who locked up a generation of black men. This is patronizing, demeaning, insulting. Oh my goodness. You have to be 10 times better. You think, first of all, I would not dare say that Obama was 10 times better than anybody. And the opposite might actually be true in terms of policy that was enacted, where it wasn't people who were 10 times better than anybody getting positions. It was the white savior complex saying, oh, it's not your fault. And let me elevate you myself to elevate myself. What is democracy? I don't know, because I forgot. What is it? So say it 3 times and maybe it'll make sense, Joe.
Most of all,
listen to this.
What does it mean? As we've heard before,
face.
To be a black man who loves his country, even if it doesn't love him back in equal measure.
Can you imagine what he just said right there? That's not accusing your enemies of doing what you're doing. That is the confession through projection. What's he admitting right now? As an old, decrepit white man who drafted the crime bill that destroyed the lives of a generation of black men, that he didn't love it back in equal measure. But can you imagine standing up in front of a crowd of people saying, you love someone, but they don't love you back? That's indoctrinating victimhood status.